Hey y'all, this is Victor Haskins, and in this video I want to talk to you about the 4 basic pillars of brass playing, and I want to give you a basic warm-up that you can use whether you're a beginner just starting out or whether you're a seasoned professional. I use the same warm-up, and so let's dive right in. Our acronym that we'll use to remember the 4 elements of trumpet playing or brass playing is TAFS. That stands for tone, articulation, fingers, and slurs, or flexibility. So let's talk about the first one. Tone. Tone is your most important thing you should focus on. As a musician, we are artists of sound, and so your sound, your tone is your identity. So we want to focus on that and get that right. We're going to do an exercise called long tones, which is something you should do every day. I like to say long tones is like brushing your teeth for brass musicians. You don't brush your teeth on Monday and sometimes Wednesday and then maybe Saturday, right? You're going to rot your teeth out. And the same thing for playing a brass instrument. You got to make sure you brush your teeth every single day. And twice a day wouldn't hurt. But we're going to do long tones. So long tones means we're going to hold out a single pitch and we're going to focus on keeping the pitch steady, and we're going to keep the tone and we're going to make little adjustments as we're playing it so the tone sounds exactly like we want it to sound. Like you're going to sound different than I sound. You're going to want to sound different than I sound. So focus on what sound do I want to create, and you want to create that with your horn. And this is your time to work on shaping and sculpting that sound. We're going to keep the pitch steady, and we also may want to vary the dynamic, how loud or soft the note is, but we don't want the pitch to waver, okay? So here's how a long tone might be. But when I'm doing it, I'm going to start on a G in the staff, which is a good medium, low, comfortable pitch to start on. Okay, so I held that about a medium, soft sort of dynamic. I was shaping the sound to make sure the sound was straight and clear like I want it to be. And now I'm going to go down a half step on an F sharp. I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to start really soft, and then I'm going to shape up the dynamic to be loud and then come back down to soft. So I want to keep the pitch steady while keeping my tone even. I don't want the tone to change. I just want the volume to go up or down. So here's what that sounds like. Okay, so long tones, your first exercise, I would suggest doing that across your range on the horn. So, start at that G in the staff, go all the way down to low F sharp, and start in that G in the staff and go up to, whatever your range is above that. But you want to do long tones all around the horn, do that same exercise on each note because you need to dial each note in so your chops get used to playing that note in tune with nice tone like you're hearing in your head. Remember, we're practicing so we can put what's in our imagination into the real world. This is our connection to the real world. Our imagination is what we hear, and then we play and you practice to create a better connection between the horn and ourselves, and then what comes out on the other end is what everyone else gets to experience of our imagination. And the better your practice is, and the more you practice, the more closely what happens in your imagination will resemble what you put out into the real world. So remember that. So T, tone, is the first thing you're going to work on. Next thing you're going to work on is articulation, which is what your tongue is doing. So you have to coordinate your tongue with the air and your embouchure in order to articulate effectively on the instrument, okay? So we're going to do an exercise using a metronome. Metronome is your best friend. You should be using a metronome for 98 to 99% of your practice when you're practicing, because it's going to help you develop your internal pulse and your time, and that's an important thing because dealing with time helps you communicate with other musicians and to play music effectively, okay? So we're going to put our metronome on 60 beats per minute, and we're going to play these rhythms in succession. We're going to play a bar, if we're taking in 4/4 time, we're going to play a bar of half notes, a bar of quarter notes, a bar of eighth notes, a bar of triplets, and then a whole note. So we'll do that on a G, and then we'll do the same thing on F sharp, F, E, and so on and so forth. Once again, do the same thing you did with long tones, do it across the range of your horn. I'm just going to do a couple. So here we go, starting with G, half notes. sharp. And so on and so forth, okay? So you're going to do that exercise, and that's going to help get your tongue situated with coordinating playing rhythms that you intend to play on the horn. And there's some other slightly more advanced versions of that you might do to coordinate your fingers with the tongue, but we won't address that in this video. I just want to give you some basic tips on how to start off with developing your own warm-up. So we start off with tone. A was articulation, and next up we're going to deal with fingers, okay? So our fingers, we have to deal with how we're coordinating our fingers with our air. And so a great exercise we'll borrow from the great Herbert L. Clark, who was a great cornetist and pedagogue and created this book that you might consider getting. And there's an exercise in there that I believe is the second exercise where you're playing throughout the chromatic fingering series of the horn, okay? So there's 7 fingering combinations on your trumpet, or in this case a cornet, okay? And it goes open, which is no fingers down, 2, 1, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, and 1, 2 and 3, okay? So if we start on C, below the staff, and we do that 7 fingering combination, it will take us from C to low F sharp chromatically. It's going to hit every single pitch between C and low F sharp. And if we reverse it, it goes from low F sharp to C. So we're going to use that to coordinate our fingers. We're going to do it slowly, okay? Could we go C? Here's the fingering combination if you want to do it with me. C, 2, with just the second finger down, that's B, B flat, A flat, G, F sharp, and in reverse, F sharp, G, A flat, A, B flat, B, and C. So we're going to play this fingering combination, and we're going to do it in eighth notes. So we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we're just going to play down that fingering pattern and then up the fingering pattern and do it several times. And then once you get the hang of that, you'll make the metronome a little bit faster and do the same thing. And once again, the key is we want to make sure that we're not getting little flippies between the notes, right? We're not going right? Those little like snags that I got on some of those, that's because I'm not directing the air properly. Remember, as we're playing our brass instrument, pushing down the buttons and blowing air does not give us correct notes. Correct notes come from hearing it, imagining the sound, and then doing the correct things mechanically with our embouchure, our fingers, our air. But none of it's going to work if you're not imagining the sound. So you need to hear the sound, imagine the sound before you play it. Here we go. I'm going to do this. This is at 60 beats per minute. I'm doing it in eighth notes. Here we go. Right? So I'm imagining that sound. I'm making a very smooth, even sound on each note. Just like on long tones, I want to make sure all my notes were very even and very clear with nice tone quality and the pitches were accurate. I want to do the same thing on this exercise where I'm holding the notes out only for a half a beat. I want to make sure I'm right in the center of the sound, okay? And you want to coordinate that and make sure you're pushing the vowels down quickly, right? Bang the vowels down hard. So that's fingers. Tone, T, A for articulation, F for fingers, and our final pillar of brass playing is slurs, which is your flexibility, your ability to get around the instrument, okay? So it's important that we have flexibility so we can access the entire range of the instrument. And the way we do that is by doing lip slurs, okay? And so lip slurs, as you just saw with that 7 fingering combination, that's how we get chromatic pitches. But if we want to move up in the overtone series, which I'm not going to explain what that is exactly right now, but if I were to slur from C below the staff to G in the staff, I have to use my lips and the air in order to do that, to change the pitch, okay? Fingers isn't going to change the pitch from C to G. Just like if we go from G in the staff to C, that's the next partial. So G in the staff to C in the staff. And So actually I could go from C to G to C to G to C with no fingers, because that's the first 3 pitches in the overtone series. Okay, so here's what we're going to do for our lip slur exercise. Our flexibility exercise is we're going to just slur between a single partial. And of course, once again, you can do this between various partials, right? You can go from C to G, you can go from G to C, you can go from C to E, E to G, and various other partials, and you can skip partials. And I'll leave that for you to discover and to play with yourself. But for right now, we're just going to do one. We're going to slur from G in the staff to C in the staff. And we're going to do it slowly, because if you've never done lip slurs before, then you want to do them slowly so you're really developing control. It's about control, not about finesse, okay? So put my metronome on 60 beats per minute. I'm always a proponent of practicing very slowly. You can see my video on metronome practice and how to use a metronome to practice, because you should, once again, be using a metronome for most of your practice. So we're going to go slur from G to C in half notes. We'll do that several times, so 2 beats for each pitch. And then we're going to slur from G to C and back again in quarter notes. Okay, so I'm not using my tongue. I'm not going ta, ta. I'm actually just going. I'm varying the air speed. So you want to go from a lower pitch to a higher pitch, you're going ta-yi, right? That's what you're saying in your mouth. Your tongue is going ta-yi, right? Your tongue is raising up to speed the air up to go up to the higher pitch, and then go from a higher pitch to a lower pitch, e-ah, okay? So let's just do some of that. I'll play in half notes, G to C, G to C, G to C, and then quarter notes, G, C, G, C, G, C, okay? Here we go. Notes. So notice as I'm doing that, and I'll probably do a whole nother lesson on slurs. I haven't done one of those yet, but while I'm doing that, there's no dirt between the notes. There's no sliding between the notes. I'm not going. You might notice some of that as you're trying this yourself. That's not what the goal is. We want to make sure we're going from one pitch, snapping up to the next pitch, snapping back down to the next pitch. You're only moving right on the metronome click, right? That's why we're using the metronome, to keep ourselves honest with actually moving when we're intending to move, okay? So I'm going from this pitch to this pitch. It's immediate. It's not. Right? If you notice any of what I just did right there during that little example where I said not to do, then you practice it. That's why we practice. We practice things that we can't do already so we can be able to do them. So I hope that was helpful. Once again, our acronym is TAFS, tone, articulation, fingers, and slurs. And those are the 4 things you need to work on in terms of your fundamentals for playing a brass instrument. If you get those 4 things dialed in, you're well on your way to being able to play a brass instrument proficiently. So if you look down in the comments below, or not the comments, the description of this video, I'll include a link to the written out version of everything I talked about in this video. It's the basic warm-up document that I provide to my private students, and I think it's useful for you to have. You don't have to pay for it or anything. It's free. So I hope you use this video, review some of the little tidbits I dropped in there. And once again, follow me on YouTube or various other social media platforms, because I'll definitely be making some more educational content, including a slur video, how to do slurs video if I haven't done one already. But there's already a video on how to use a metronome, how to do long tones. There's like a long tone practice video that I've made that you can practice long tones with me. Just check out some of the educational stuff I've already done. And once again, I hope this is helpful for you guys. Leave any questions you have in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.